Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to my fellow classmate and sir. Today, my group mates and I are going to present on our advanced taxation assignment. So, without further ado, let us go. First and foremost, let me introduce to the panel of presenter. The first presenter will be myself, me. My name is Luqman Hakeem bin Taufik Afendy on explaining case number 1, followed by Siti Khadijah, my friend. And for the case number 2 will be presented by Mohamad Hafizuddin and Mohamad Arif Akmal. On my part, A, case number 1, whether to choose setting up a branch or subsidiary in Malaysia. Now, a foreign investor must understand the distinction between a subsidiary and a branch. A branch is defined as a subsidiary of the parent firm, and all activities must be reported to their parent company. Whereas a subsidiary is a self-contained legal entity with its own set of rules and regulations. Therefore, according to my tax understanding, it is in Newco's best interest to open a branch in Malaysia. The reason why I'm saying this is because by establishing a branch in Malaysia, the company will be able to establish a separate account and a set of rules in accordance with the country's legal policy. So that is all from my part. I pass the next slide to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Khadijah Hasbullah. Today I'll be presenting on question B and question C. So on question B, whether to commence the business during financial year end 2019 or 2020. So I would advise new company to commence their business on 31st December 2019. Why? Because they could grow exponentially and expand their business within the next 5 years. If they choose on year end 2019, which is it will end on 31st December 2014 rather than later. Second, because they could grow their current income of 1 million at the moment now. So if they establish earlier, they could generate more of income after next 5 years. And lastly, because they have mentioned their vision to incur more capital. But if they delay the commencement, which is on 31st December 2020, they probably not subject for any tax deduction. Okay, moving on to question C, which best tax incentive to reduce their tax liability after finish their ITA? So I would suggest the new company should opt for reinvestment allowance because why? They have already met all the criteria required to opt for reinvestment allowance. First, because their operation is not less than 36 months, which is true if they decided to commence on 31st December 2019, which is during the 5 years, and by 31st December 2014. So it is more than 36 months, so they are eligible for investment allowance. Second, capital expenditure incurs is to expand its existing manufacturing, which is aligned with their vision to grow their business by incurring more of capital expenditure. Third is it is already given for 15 years from the first year of the claim, which is given in this situation. The new company just already used the first 5 years. So there's an excess of 10 years, which is allow them to opt for investment allowance. So it is such a waste. It is such a waste if they not seizing this opportunity. And lastly is the allowance is subjected for 60% deduction for the qualifying capital expenditure. Although it is not 100% deduction, but these 60% that have been granted by government, it really helps a lot for new company to buying more capital expenditure and to grow their company.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mohamad Hafizuddin and I will become the next presenter. Basically, for case 2, there are 5 questions and I will explain about question A, B and question C. For question A, we have to advise Puncak on the disposal of its machinery in terms of timing, assuming all machines will be disposed to external parties except for the stamping machines. Okay, based on the above statement, Puncak must dispose of all of its machinery except for the stamping machine by the financial year ended 31st March 2020. due to the balancing allowance incurred after the disposal of the machineries, and the balancing allowance can be used to shelter their adjusted income for the year assessment of 2020. For question B, the question asks to advise PAMCA on how to save tax on the disposal of the stamping machine. Okay, in order to save tax on the disposal of the stamping machine, PAMCA must be aware of the timing to dispose of the machines. The timing is very important because it will be used to decide whether the capital allowance received from the acquisition of the machines will be clawed back or not. For your information, a minimum of 2 years ownership will be required to avoid the clawback of the capital allowance. Therefore, PAMCA must dispose of the stamping machine after 2 years of ownership if PAMCA want to save tax on the disposal of the stamping machine. For question C, the question asks to state whether Dalmore Group of companies can make use of the group relief to reduce their tax liabilities for the year of assessment 2020 and 2021. Dalmore Group of companies cannot make use of the group relief in order to reduce its tax liabilities for the years of assessment 2020 and 2021. This is because the paid-up capital of PAMCA only amounted to RM 2.3 million, which is less than RM 2.5 million. In addition, in the years of assessment 2020 and 2021, Ruba is still enjoying investment tax allowance, and Damchi has just finished claiming pioneer status in year assessment 2020 after 5 years of operation. If Dalmore wants to make use of the group relief to reduce its tax liabilities, Dalmore must ensure that each of Dalmore's group of companies have paid up capital more than RM 2.5 million at the beginning of the period, and both claimant and surrendering companies are not enjoying certain incentive currently. Okay, that's all from me. For question D and question E, it will be explained by the next presenter, which is Arif. Thank you.
Thank you, Hafizuddin. Now let's move on to question 2D. Advise Ruba on the best method of financing its purchase of new machinery. The best method for Ruba to financing its purchase of new machinery is by using leasing method. The claim of the lease rental will give the most advantages compared to long-term loan due to the full amount of lease rental will be given as revenue deduction in the year of incurred, and the claims for capital allowance will be spread out to the upcoming years based on the specific rate. Next, for question 2E, advise Damchi on which company should be taken over and the method of acquisition. TSG Sdn Bhd should be taken over by Damchi because it has similar nature of business with Damchi. Besides, compared with KY Sdn Bhd, unabsorbed loss cannot be transferred to the new owner if there are significant changes in the shareholding. The best method to acquisition of TSG Sdn Bhd is by shares. The method of asset acquisition should not be used because the pioneer status exemption of TSG Sdn Bhd may not be transferred to Damchi. The unabsorbed tax losses or tax incentive will remain with TSG Sdn Bhd. Transfer of share will not be subject to tax as TSG Sdn Bhd is not a real property company that is subject to RTGT. The unused tax attributes and tax incentives such as pioneer status of TSG Sdn Bhd may be beneficial to the Damchi. That's all from us. Thank you.